Oh boy, Coca-Cola bit off more than they could chew. Coca-Cola quietly deletes mentions of Black Lives Matter from company website. For every corporate donor who sent millions to BLM, do you regret supporting such a virulently anti-Semitic organization? Coke has been a financial sponsor of Black Lives Matter for years. However, references to its support of the organization appeared to have vanished from its website in light of recent posts shared by the group siding with Hamas. BLM Chicago, an organizer from LA, or among those, and an organizer from LA, among those associated with the purported civil rights group, to have publicly voiced support for the Iranian-backed Palestinian terror group following its latest wave of violence. Here we are. Ted Cruz called it out with this X post. Caught red-handed. Coca-Cola deletes its support for BLM. One screenshot of is of Coke's website before BLM supported Hamas, and the other is from this morning. This is from a couple days ago. It used to say, the brand also donated $500,000 to the Black Lives Matter Global Network to support the group's voting education and efforts and their February 2021 Black Future Month program, blah, blah, blah. And here you go, and gone. Here's a funny thing. One of the founders of the Black Lives Matter Global Network, Patrisse Cullors, had stated in 2015 they want to end Israel. Oh, boy. Coca-Cola, like so many other companies, like so many woke leftists, sided with abject evil and are now reeling because of it. Look, I'm not saying that I'm going to take a stand in the Israel-Palestine conflict or anything like that, right? I'm talking about the left lying about everything, wanting to expose children to graphic materials and all that jazz. And Coke defended it. Okay? But now, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to Israel-Palestine derangement syndrome. Coca-Cola had no problem supporting mass rioting, dozens of deaths. All of this, okay? All of this, including what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse, all of this was fine with Coca-Cola. But no, the Israel thing. You know what, man? I don't drink that garbage anyway. Coca-Cola is trash. It is absolute trash. And I implore you, know what I've been drinking? I've been drinking these here Spindrifts. Spindrift, you win. This is amazing. Spindrift is, they don't sponsor me or anything. We bought a bunch of them. Carbonated water, grapefruit juice, orange juice, lemon juice, hibiscus, 3 grams of sugar. And then what am I drinking right now? That one's empty. This one's a blood orange, 2 grams of sugar. And then we've got one that, these things are awesome. It's like carbonated water with a little bit of lemon juice in it. And the funny thing is that that's what I always drink. When I go to a restaurant, I'll be like, just give me some lemons to squeeze them into my club soda or sparkling water. And way better. And if I do like a lemon tea, I'll put some lemon juice in it, but no sugar. Lemon's fine. That's what I drink. I don't drink that high fructose corn garbage that Coca-Cola puts out. But let's talk about Israel derangement syndrome. And I think you get this here. My point on the Coca-Cola issue is all of the really awful things BLM didn't matter. I mean, they were accused of stealing millions of dollars. Coke did not care, but you get into Israel and oh boy, Coke's dropping you like a sack of potatoes. Yeah. Did you know that right now in Southeast Asia, there's like 12,000 dead over the Burma-Myanmar conflict? It's been going on since 1948. Yeah, nobody cares. But for some reason, Israel, the Israel-Palestine derangement syndrome. This is what I don't care about what your stance is. Here's what I care about. You cannot say anything about Israel-Palestine without someone just like screaming at the top of their lungs. You know, it's got to be really intense to get Coca-Cola to back away from defending BLM. You know it. And so we get this backlash. But there's a lot of people, I'm not going to call them out specifically, high-profile individuals that we've shouted out before, people I think we've even had on the show. And it's just like they've posted 300 tweets about Israel. And I'm just like, what happened to your brain? Did your brain fall out? I'm not saying their stance on Israel-Palestine is the issue. I'm saying the fact that all of a sudden, these people are just like spam tweeting like crazy, like Israel. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people? That's what I'm pissed off about. And then you get people being like, you're tweeting about it, Tim. And I'm like, dude, I am tweeting about y'all's incessant, nonstop derangement over the issue, be it pro or anti-Israel. I don't care. I'm seeing people like they're all making memes, and I'm just like, what about Israel makes your brain fall out of your head? I've been saying this for a long time. I talked about how, like, we used to have an old chat server, and there were people who were so deranged, their brains had rotten and twisted to such a degree that, like, someone would say something like, "Do you guys you guys ever have Cece's Pizza?" And then someone would be like, "Oh yeah, pizza buffet. That's really good. I like that." The other person would be like, "Yeah, but I like New York style pizza, like actually from New York. Have you ever had any pizza, outside of New York?" And then someone would be like, "I once had pizza when I was in Europe." And then someone would go, "I had pizza in Israel once." The thing about Israel, and then, and I was like, how did we go from pizza to Israel? How does that happen? People's brains don't work. It's like no other issue. I mean, there's a lot of issues that make people go crazy. But dude, I'm just like, as an American, here's what I think. We saw what happened on October 7th. And this is what you get. Look at the South End Post. Woman rips down posters of missing Israelis in Miami. Why? Why? And the guys filming are like, "Why are you doing this?" She's like, "You're misinformed." And they're like, "Are you pro-Hamas?" She's like, "No, of course not." But like, what? She's so psychotic. These people are so insane. Bro, I walk down the street. I see a communist sign on the wall. I ignore it. But people go psychotic over Israel. They're not talking about Burma, Myanmar. And I'm being careful here because I don't even know about that, right? Is it Burma? Is it Myanmar? Is it Israel? Is it Palestine? Two conflicts stemming back many, many years, both with inflection points in 1948. And that's the point, man. You don't, and people are, it's religious, okay? It's, the Holy Land or whatever. And I'm like, I get it. But like the people I'm talking about who are going nuts, like this lady, she's not a Christian. I mean, maybe she is. I really doubt it. This lady probably doesn't know or care about religion, but she's ripping down a photo of a guy who was kidnapped for no reason. Dude, I just don't care. And it's funny because I'll be like, what Hamas did was wrong on October 7th. And it's resulted in untold death. And we can condemn that. And they lied about the hospital. And they're like, Tim won't even talk about the history of Palestine and I'm like, no, because you're insane. I comment on current news and events. Right now, we have a current story. As soon as this story passes and we move on, I ain't going to be talking about it. This is the truth. This is true for any subject. And people are so psychotic and fervent about Israel-Palestine, their brains just rupture from their skulls the moment the story comes up. I feel like many of you completely agree. Because I'm on Twitter. Someone, like I mentioned earlier, someone tweeted that I said last night, innocent dead Palestinians doesn't mean anything, doesn't matter to me, doesn't mean anything, which is literally not what I said. Because they're so hell-bent on turning this into a team thing, like my team versus your team, that it's just like, bro, y'all need some football, okay? Please argue over like the batting average of your favorite teams, like the White Sox versus the Cubs. Do that instead of exacerbating ongoing political tensions, which could lead to like serious war. But that's the thing too. I get why Coca-Cola finally got rid of BLM. It's because you can tolerate, like Coca-Cola as a company can tolerate political culture war stuff, but they can't tolerate the Israel stuff because people are just, it goes from 0 to 100, right? Like even last night we had this dude on and I've got people tweeting at me how wrong I was. Oh, how wrong I was. And I'm like, no, you're just zealots. I'm sorry, dude, you're zealots. I'm not going to change my opinion. You don't have to like me. By all means, stop watching. If the approach is on October 7th, Hamas attacked Israel. Hey, I'm an American. I'm hearing about this thing. That was bad. That shouldn't happen. Israel responds with airstrikes. A lot of civilians die. I'm like, okay, that's bad too, but I get it. It's war. I'm not saying I condone it. I'm just being like, how do we stop all this dying? Well, simple answer is we're America and it's none of our effing business. But then what happens is you get pro-Israel people attacking me and my staff and anti-Israel people attacking me and my staff, screaming. One guest we had on this show called for nuking Gaza. Like, y'all are nuts. Y'all are crazy. Bro. You come on this show and you're like, war is bad. And then they call for nuking Gaza. And I'm like, do you want the world to just end now? And I'm kind of like, man, I'm concerned about the southern border. But this is the point, dude. I'm seeing posts like this We've got high profile personalities screaming at the top of their lungs. And I'm like, dude, calm down. I don't get it. Holy Land, I guess. But that's just really what I can't stand. Like, what other issue would result in someone being so deranged they would rip down these posters? You know what I mean? It's genuinely insane to me. People on the left argue that like Israel's an occupying force, and then people on the right argue that Hamas is massacring civilians and they're brutal. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, I hear you both, but please tell me why you're not arguing about literally any other conflict, any other one. Someone said Jesus died in Israel, not in Ukraine, and I'm like, no, I get that, but these people aren't religious. Okay, these secular liberal types are not religious. I don't get it. I just don't get this one. We've had guests on this show that really, really piss me off. You know what pisses me off? I don't care about your arguments about Israel-Palestine. I really, really don't. I just don't. Not interested. We can talk about civilians dying. It's bad. No matter who where. Palestinian civilian dies is really, really bad. Israel civilian dies is very, very bad. But what's crazy is how we've had guests on IRL where it's like we're talking and I'm like, yeah, I don't think the U.S. should be in the Middle East, like this Afghanistan war. And then we're having this calm conversation. Go back and watch Timcast. You'll find the guests. We can be having a calm conversation with someone like, well, you got to understand, like the American military-industrial complex profits off of this. And we had the story where Congress said we didn't want any more tanks to be built. And yet still the contracts get steamrolled through. Or, I'm sorry, it was the military was saying no more tanks. And Congress approved the bill anyway. Why? Facilitation of the military-industrial complex. I'm like, interesting. And then all of a sudden the word Israel happens and their eyes just go like, when they go, and I'm like, how did we go from rationally conversing about policy, the legislature, AUMFs, NDAAs. Then as soon as Israel happened, they're like banging the table and like shaking like, and I'm like, okay, dude, bro, you know what I want to talk about? We got an election coming up. We've got spending on foreign wars and policy. And this is the thing. This now involves Israel. And you can see, most of you just know how insane everyone's getting over the issue. Me? You know what gets me all riled up? Zealotry. I hate it. That's why I can't stand the cult of the left. They march in lockstep over deranged, amoral crackpot policy without cause or reason. And now here we are, and I'm just begging people to be like, can you explain to me why you care more about Israel than the United States? I shouldn't say Israel, Palestine. Well, how is it that we have people in the U.S. protesting for Palestine? Like we've got problems here in the United States. You want universal health care, leftists? You're like universal health care, Trump, orange man, bad fascists. Okay. Why are you out for Palestine? I went to the peace wall in Northern Ireland when I was in Belfast. And on one side, they've got Palestine. On the other side, they got Israel. And there are actually people in Northern Ireland who think they're a lost tribe of Israel. And I'm like, I think I'm done with this one. I think I'm just going to walk away. Because y'all are crazy. And we'll talk about something else. Maybe we'll talk about the election or something. Whatever, dude. I think people have just absolutely lost their minds. I'll leave it there. Oh, no. You see, here's the issue, my friends. No, we're gonna talk about it. But it's not because anyone here has Israel derangement syndrome. It's because it's in the news. And I'll talk about it if it's in the news. But people need to calm the F down. Look, I get it. Hamas killed a bunch of civilians. Israeli airstrikes are killing a lot of civilians as well. But y'all still need to chill because cooler heads will prevail. And you're not convincing anyone when you shriek and post these memes. And bro, there's one dude who's posted probably like 50 times, just like in the past, couple hours, nonstop, virulent anti-Israel stuff. And I'm like, dude, chill out. But I'm not even talking about, if you're posting stories like, did you know that in 1973, Israel did this? I'm like, that's fine. I'm saying like there are people who are posting just like constant insults and streams and screaming. And it's just crazy, dude. Unfollow, mute. Unreasonable, unhinged conversations. That ain't helping anybody. But I'll tell you what, that's why I get why Coca-Cola is like, we're out. Not because they have a moral, not for having a backbone, not because they have a moral compass, but because they're just like, we can't handle the psychosis. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.